Morning, right?
Do I need to do an introduction or not? Or you just gonna ask?
Nah, we'll introduce you. It's like,
Okay.
or yeah.
I'll
introduce
introduce
you.
Just start whenever it's recording already. He can just edit it.
Alright, good morning. This is Mr. Brown. I'm Andres.
My name's Carlos.
We would like to do some Road Trip Nation interview questions
Yes.
about your career. Alright, first question will be, where were you when you were our age?
I attended Kearney High School. I was born and raised in Linda Vista. And I left Linda Vista after graduation in '85.
How did you get from there to where you are today?
Well, after school, I worked a lot of odd jobs, restaurants, construction, and I was just trying to find something I can do to make some money. Being from such a large family and the youngest of 7, my brothers and sisters are a lot older than me. And so there was no pressure for me to really go out and achieve anything. I just figured, what am I going to do? I'm 18, 19 years old trying to figure out, okay, now what? And so I've always had the aspiration for a career in law enforcement.
What obstacles have you overcome to get where you are today?
That's a loaded question because, you really don't want to, I don't want to really put on the young people, but there is a lot of racial discrimination in all over. And I have faced it, I even face it now today as we sit here. You just have to believe in yourself and be positive and understand what you want to do. Everybody's not going to be for you, everybody's not going to support you. And it's hard as long as you have a good family background and foundation. You should be able to overcome some of those obstacles.
Can you describe your typical day in the life of your job?
I've been with San Diego Unified School District for 13 years. This is my 13th year. And my job here is the campus, the correct title is Campus Security Assistant. So what I do is monitor the student traffic. They call it conflict resolution, meaning break up any altercations or mediate any kind of conflict with the students. That's my job. Here at this school, I haven't found that to be a problem, but some of the traditional bigger schools that I were at, there were conflicts every day, and you just never know when it's going to happen. And I always have to be on alert and handle it, the best way I can. Not really hands-on. I think I have a strong enough presence and a strong enough voice that, once I step into a situation, I have the respect of the students, and most of the time they'll comply.
Were you ever lost in what you wanted to do?
Yeah, honestly, there was a period of time where I was, applying with the police department, and I was applying with several different agencies, and I was really put off when I spent all that time in backgrounds with San Diego Police Department and didn't get hired. And they were telling me, to come back in a year, where they had a hiring freeze. I had completed all the steps pre-academy, and I was like, hey, I was already like 30 years old. I'm like, you want me to come back in a year? And that's what I'm saying. Those are one of the obstacles when people don't say good things about you. Because there was one specific employer who said something negative that held up my process. And, I was like, well, if you're going to take the word of one person out of all the stuff I filled out, all the information I've compiled, I was born and raised here in San Diego, I've never been in any trouble, but if one person can say something bad about you and keep you from the career goal that you have, that's an obstacle.
If someone wants to be you, do you suggest that they follow your footsteps?
Well, now, I'm a little older, so what you young people have as a benefit is you have social media, you have computers, you have Google. So it was harder back then than it is now, because you have everything at your fingertips. So, I didn't make bad choices.
Yeah.
I knew what I had to do. And we didn't have the problems that some of you have now with the gangs and the drugs, and we just set ourselves apart. So to answer your question, don't follow in anybody's footsteps. You have to have your own path, your own direction. What I would say is I always recommend to the young people, write a 5-year plan. In the next 5-year plan, this is what I want to do in 5 years. I want to have my driver's license, I want to have a car, I want to have my own apartment. And then you pursue, because each year should be a progression of life. You know, you should never be stagnant. You always want to have a positive goal, something to look forward to, and next year is going to be always better than the year before.
What skills must someone absolutely have to succeed in your field?
Verbal skills. Well, I'm talking now, and I'm glad that that question came up, because I think not negative about the younger generation, but you people don't know how to talk. Everything is texting. Everything is instant message. You have to learn how to talk to people and sit across the table like you're doing here and have an interview, you know. And that's one thing that you young people lack is verbal skills. When you go to any job, whether it's fast food, retail, you're gonna have to learn how to communicate. And that's one of the powerful things that I have, is I know how to talk. I can sit here and talk to you all day and have something new and fresh to talk about. So as a young person, you guys really need to brush up on your verbal communication, because an interviewer, prospective manager is not going to text you interview questions. You're going to have to talk. You're going to have to sell yourself and improve yourself better than the next applicant.
How do you balance your personal and professional life?
I make sure that they never mesh, and I never share it, and that's one thing that some of you young people don't, everything is the same. Well, when I leave, when I'm here at 7 o'clock and I go home at 3:30, what I do after 3:30 has nothing to do with school or work, and I make sure that they don't conflict. It's always a balance, but I know when to turn off and I know when to turn on. And it's not that anything is going on at home, but it's like, well, you don't need to know that. And that's the way life should be. It's on a need to know basis. If you don't need to know, it's none of your business. And I make sure that I keep them real separate and keep a very clear line between my work life and my home and professional life. People always want to know, well, who's your wife? Where do you live? I don't know. It has nothing to do with what's going on at Twain Continuation School. Where I live and what I drive or the clothes I have, we're here for business. And I make sure that those lines never cross, and I think a lot of people can learn that. It's like you don't mesh them.
When did you realize this is what you wanted to do?
Well, I think back in 2000 when I was applying for the police departments, I really wanted a career in law enforcement. And I worked corporate security, where we handled bank accounts and frauds and investigation. That was kind of boring. I fell into the school district. I worked that job for a couple of years. My son was a little older, and I just needed a job where I can be home in the evening and make sure he was handling his business. There was always opportunity for me to go back into probations or corrections, but I was just like, no, I'm cool right now. I'm cool. Everything is fine. Even if we write a plan, it doesn't necessarily mean everything's going to work out. You will have obstacles, you will have setbacks, you will have issues at home, and you just have to make sure you have a strong support system.
If so, how did you shut out the noise, all the negative stuff people would tell you?
I get negative all the time. And you just have to see it coming. You have to know who's not for you. And this is part of the other side of what I do, because everybody is not going to be supportive. You have to know that there's going to be what you young people call haters. People are not going to be positive. People are not going to support you. People will love to see you fail. And that's just part of life. Even at my age, people want to see you fail and not progress. And sometimes you see them coming and you go a different direction.
if you had one piece of advice to give young people getting ready to jump into the real world, what would it be?
Stay on your game. You stay on your game. If you apply for it, look, when we apply for jobs, nobody is busting us over the head and dragging us to a job. You apply for the job, so you do your best effort to be on time, do what you're supposed to do, and get your check. Just stay on your game and keep all the negative and nonsense out of your workplace. That, you know, too much of this stuff, you just asked a question about stuff crossing the lines or obstacles. It's all going to intermesh at some point, but it shouldn't. Just stay on your game and have a goal. That's one thing. We have to have goals in life. You know, here in San Diego, you know, do we tell you, you know, how much you need to make to survive here in San Diego? What they say is San Diego is a 2-income city. Okay, to have something decent, to have something nice, to have some luxuries, to take some vacations. And what is the big picture? Is it 40,000? Is it 60,000? What do you need to survive in San Diego? You know, where you can buy the food that you want to buy, or wear the shoes that you want to wear. You know, sooner or later, you're going to have to step up to the game and figure it out.
All right. Thank you for your time, Mr.
Hey,
Brown.
no problem, no problem. Let me see the finished product.